contact with the church. In 73 I joined, and I was one of the lucky ones that was told very clearly from spirit world, shut up and listen, you're not in charge of your life anymore, you follow true parents, and that was so clear. I could hear the voices, and I just followed. I quit my university studies and started to work with the church. And later on I was sent to New York, and I got very intimate relationships and chances to meet true parents. And I must say, to meet a person that has this kind of authority and also kind of humility in front of God. When Father was praying, you see the tears running, and you see when he's educating, he makes everything he has. So he sweats and his clothes get wet, and he just doesn't want to stop, because he feels this is his mission. He has to give life to people, because we are in an age where things will change. It looks still very hopeless around us, I know, because we are in an age where good and evil are going like that, and evil always have this first chance. So when Mother now says heaven is alive, don't worry, please believe. Later on, I listened to lots of speeches with Father. In Belvedere, the spirit world came. We saw fire coming from heavens. We were talking. The spiritual open people were talking about all the saints and sages that visited during lectures. Jesus showed up. All these other people will come there and sit on the stage when the lectures were going on. And I wish, from my deepest heart, that especially the young people can understand the reality of what we are working with, because this is a new age. It's really a time where we have a chance to see the new world coming. And when Father started UPF and called us to come to New York in September, first of all, he asked us to bring good people with us. So I got Sudhanshu with me from the Hindus and Dr. Puri from the Sikhs, and we went to New York and stayed in our hotel, the New Yorker. And Father had worked for a long time with the Interreligious and International Federation for World Peace, basically centering on the religious people. But now he wanted to get the science people and the academicians and the politicians, everyone under one umbrella. And that was the purpose of UPF, because Father had great plans for the future. So we went there, and Father started the speech. We came into Lincoln, I have to see here, the hotel, Lincoln Hotel, and it was so well dressed up at that time. Lots of beautiful national flags on both sides, and each religious part had their special place, and Dr. Puri was pulled to the side and put with the Sikhs. And the Father started his speech. I must admit, I have forgotten the speech, but I could feel the spirit and what Father really wanted to do. And also on the stage, there was a big gong, and Father was finished his speech, there was bang on this gong, and really now things were starting. So after that, it was proclaimed that now Father and Mother both would start on a worldwide tour to all the countries to get UPF going. I think we don't really understand the seriousness of that kind of effort, because traveling from one country to the other, one speech in one country, next day another speech in another country, and Father was 85 years old. I'm soon 80, and I can feel already my body is packing up, and I feel the effects of that. Father had the same problems, but he never showed it. And to go, actually, Mother, when she came here, she told me directly, I almost lost understanding of where I am in the world, because everywhere where true parents came, there were new situations, new members that they wanted to give to, new food, new accommodations, new speeches. And they would have maybe a couple of hours to settle down and prepare before the whole thing was going again. And then off to the next country and continue and continue and continue. So even though they had, they went to one country every year, every day, then it took them months to get through that schedule. And even Mother, that was so much younger, she expressed her frustration and her stress when she came to here to Ireland. I heard it. She told me, So please understand, I heard people say, Father risked his life to go around this in his age and to do what he did. And I didn't take it seriously because I didn't really think about it until I saw the oxygen tank behind the stage and the doctor that was following him everywhere. Father really had the scars of all the torture, the Hong Nong camp and everything. He was suffered from that. And still, he went on, and he was commenting on that later on in the so-called victory celebration that was going on. So, when I heard that he was also coming to Ireland, I thought, wow, because I had seen aspects of Father that many other people don't see, because I was responsible for first Iceland and then Latvia and also 20 years here in Ireland, and could meet Father in many situations. Most humble situation in Pantanal during the fishing condition, where he, like us, was eaten by the mosquitoes and was helped out of the boat because his legs didn't work, when he had been sitting for a long time. This was Father's situation. And you see, he was suffering, and still he was there in front of us and doing what we were supposed to do, And that was Father's power all the time. He always would do first what he asked us to do. There was never any commands, and then he would go out and have a vacation. But being a leader also sometimes put you in a difficult situation, because when you were in the leader, also his Father expected something from you. It wasn't just up to your will to do this and that. And sometimes it caused us quite a lot of stress and actually problems. Can you imagine to come to New York for a meeting, and then Father said afterwards, you don't go home. You don't go home. You start here in America for 3 years. Can you imagine? Would you take it? You had the clothes on your back, and that was about it. And second time, in Alaska, when we got a nice talk, and then you get 2 weeks to pioneer Russia. How on earth do you plan for your family? But Father was like that. I saw him in the beginning struggling to help members that had trouble with the blessings, even offering them honeymoons to pay them to solve their problems. So, and also I had that experience myself. Father talking to me, he's completely focusing on the person that he was dealing with, asking about the problem, asking about your situation, and really wanted to give you anything. But when you were in the leader position, you also saw Father that is the Messiah that wants to bring the kingdom of heaven and needs the people to help him. So then he would ask you really tough things. So when I knew he was coming here to Ireland, I said, because I knew we couldn't receive Father in a little hotel somewhere with a few people. We had to have a national event. There had to be people that really could fill a big hall and give Father a really nice feeling. And Father came, and we also saw all the things that he mentioned about Ireland. So when they were coming, then the first thing we had to do was to get the VIP lunch. So they hadn't had to go through all these other things that you usually get through when you come from abroad. Of course, they came with their own plane at that time. And Abigail and Kotok was there with their flowers to give to parents and welcome them. Mother talked to the second generation. Father was obviously tired. He wanted just to go to the hotel, and Bernard was waiting with the car, and he didn't even dare to use M1. He took a different route because he thought maybe the media would be around and make problems. So he wanted to make sure that he got to the hotel without problems. And actually, Bernard also talked about Father's observation when he was driving. He was looking around, and then he was commenting on things he saw, and then he said very clearly Ireland will have a very prosperous future. So that was a very nice message for Bernard to hear and convey that to us. And I'm also sure You know, Ireland has a very special past. You know, there was a time in the Middle Ages where Christianity basically died in Europe. Everywhere the Christianity was gone. Only here in Ireland, the land of saints and scholars, you know, had a lot of monasteries here. And then the monks moved from Ireland down to Switzerland and Austria. They started new monasteries there and revived whole Christianity. So in the spirit world, there's a lot of really beautiful people that had done a lot for God's providence. And later on, missionaries went to different parts of the world and started up churches and helped people to understand Jesus' message. So please be proud of the background of Ireland, even though now the Catholic Church, of course, have made a couple of trouble that people have noticed very well. But, you know, Father was very aware of the situation here. We had quite a lot of problems. I guess Pat will talk a little more about that. But when we tried to find a place for a conference, we met problems, you know. So it was obvious that also the bad part of the spirit world was working really hard. We tried again and again and again. Pat will tell you about that, you know. But anyway, we got in the end to a Gresham Hotel, and Father could come there. And of course, then also through some problems there, we got the biggest hall. But then the question was, actually before they came, how on earth do we fill that big hall? Because the church, we didn't have manpower here in Ireland. No. But then suddenly one person came from Iceland. We've got a very nice Japanese sister, the wife of the American National Messiah, Paul Herman. Very good sister with lots of initiative, you know. It wasn't the person that was sitting waiting to be told what to do. She did, you know. And I was quite impressed by her. People from Norway came and a lot of people from Britain. And I had an orientation up in the prayer room. And people went out. And I thought, how on earth can we bring so many people? And there I thought, there the good part of spirit world was. Because when the evening came, then all the people were there, and there was standing room only in Gresham Hotel. You know, I couldn't believe it, and I was so happy. You know, and we had gotten all our good peace ambassadors, which had come through the work of IIFWP, which was the foundation for the UPF, Interreligious and International Federation for World Peace. I was lucky enough to have a wife that was working full time in the government, in the what do you call it? Right, she said it. And so she could support our family. So I could work full time with IFWP. So I became friend with almost any religious leader in whole Dublin. You know, I went to all the Muslim places. We traveled the world, traveled the country to meet all the mosques that were popping up everywhere. We even had a newspaper going. Do you know that? We had a newspaper called Friday Times. You know. And to promote true parents to the Muslims. And I remember I came into Kloski Mosque, and here Tarek, that was editor, had put the Friday Times on the most visible place in their book, where you have all your information booklets, you know, with a big picture of true parents. And I knew the people were not too happy around there for them doing that. But that's how it was, you know. People were speaking up and really trying to make sure that everybody knew that true parents was on the way. So the evening came, and well, actually, there was one thing I will mention before that, which was quite important. We really wanted to have some kind of official, preferably religious person, to welcome true parents when they came to the airport. So of course, why not go for the top person? So we called Dermot Martin, the Archbishop of Dublin. Can you please welcome true parents when they come to Ireland? Because for us, of course, it's the most important meeting that this country ever have experienced and ever will experience in the future. You know? So we tried to explain to him that the world religious leader is coming, can we please receive him? And we got a flat refusal. I never got to talk to Dermot Martin, you know, I tried many times. But anyway, I say the Lord, the Messiah comes like a thief in the night, and the last will be the first, or the first will be the last. And unfortunately, many people suffer under that situation now. Can you imagine when the truth come around, what Dermot Martin will say? Refuse to receive the Messiah in Ireland. So one thing was good though with that conversation, because our old adversary, we had one old adversary that had trying to trouble every conference that we had. His name was Mike Ard from Dialogue Ireland. Wherever he went, he spread negativity and lies about us. So he had even started with going to the primary schools, talking negative about us, and they came to our daughter's school speaking rubbish and lies, and they came and reported to us. So when we had him on the line, they said, "Please, Dermot Martin, Archbishop of Dublin, stop funding Dialogue Ireland because they are doing this and this," and he promised to do that. So at least that came as a good outcome of that conversation, something positive at least. So we came to the evening. Actually, before that time, again, sorry that I jump a little. I should have followed my manuscript here. But when the car came with 2 parents, we, for security's sake, got to the back of the hotel and took them up that way to the presidential suite that Ty and everybody else had made really beautiful and decorated and bought in all kinds of stuff that was necessary. I guess the sisters can share something about that. And Tom and Muriel were picked out to welcome them with flowers. And then they surprised us as well, because they had this little guy with them, their grandchild, a little guy that was just a few years old, was standing there, his hair stood straight up, And he got a lot of attention, both from true parents and from second generation that always wanted to talk to him. And Melanie gave flowers to him as well, as from the second generation then. But true parents, they really wanted to rest as well, so we left them alone and to prepare for the speech. And also the Korean National Messiah showed up, and he was a lot of help. They go between parents and us. So the evening started up, and Martin Maloney was the MC and introduced Father. And then we thought it would be really nice if you could have a person from another religion welcoming Father and appreciate the work that has been done. And so we have been working with a sheikh that I found in one of the mosques, Shahid Satardian. So he also accepted to give a welcoming speech to Father before he started up, and he did. And then Father came on the stage and started to speak. Now we know from bitter experience that Father has had a tendency to deviate from the manuscript. Very often he would start with certain, and then we would jump, and poor Colonel Hahn, that was interpreter, Father, after a little while, he was starting to address things that he wanted to share with people that was not in the manuscript, and he picked up lots of things from principle and explaining things that we had heard many times. But he did take one point here and one point there and one point there, and this was his whole speech. And instead of talking for less than an hour, he spoke for 4.5 hours. So after a while, we started to worry: are people going to leave? Are they going to break up the atmosphere, or just go out and make a mess of the whole thing? And actually, Father picked up on that. You know what he said? He said, maybe we should lock the doors behind it so people don't get out. So he did it as a joke, and actually he came back to that later during the victory celebration. And Father, of course, after this time was quite tired, but he still continued. And when he had finished, there was supposed to be entertainment, and we had asked some Irish School of Dancing to send a troupe of young girls to show some Irish dancing that was very popular at that time. was a lot of things happening around the world of people doing Irish dancing. It was very popular at that time. And of course, they couldn't wait and they had to leave before Father finished. So we just had to pay them and send them off. So after that, actually, the Father also wanted to give a blessing to Ireland, special blessing to Ireland. So we had put out holy wine on all the seats, and the peace ambassadors were sitting in the front, many of them in their ceremonial gowns, and then they were supposed to show how to use the holy wine in the holy wine ceremony. So of course they came to the stage, and Reverend Kwok was arranging the whole thing with them. After that was done, then also Reverend Kwok helped us to finish the last part, which was Dr. Puri and his wife. They gave flowers to their parents on the stage, and also that little guy came, and mother came in on the stage at that time, and also some new ambassador of peace and a Catholic nun that also had been with us for quite a while. They gave Father a plaque of gratitude, and also a bogwood, what do we call it, statue or whatever, or two people making a heart, you know. So that was like saying thank you to True Father. And then Reverend Kwok was helping with the Holy Wine thing and also helped acknowledge the new ambassadors for peace. So I was very relieved when we had gone through the whole thing, you know, even all the difficulties that we faced, and we could really see the spirit world fighting over this situation to make a success of the whole thing. And I think we really did a good job. And you know, that speech became the longest one in the whole speaking tour of Father through all the different countries. And that actually showed Father's heart, because when we came to the victory celebration the next day, then the ambassadors of peace were invited as well, and many others. And Father started to speak, and he started up by talking about freedom and responsibility. And he said, when you have a good relationship to people, then you are free to give even your secrets to people and talk openly. But many times your freedom is hindered by national laws, sometimes by natural laws and other hindrances. So you are hindered in doing what you want to do. But he said, here in Ireland, you know, you have total freedom. And you can do whatever you like. So please be brave. Give the message. And then he started to talk about the historical trouble of Ireland being under Britain and being mistreated. And he was commenting on that. And as Tom also mentioned to me now, that Father again said you should you let your children marry your enemy, you know. And Father continued, and he said, I know it's many difficulties here in Ireland towards Britain, but he said things could have been so much worse. In Korea, the Soviet Union took many Koreans, took them to Siberia. They mistreated them and they killed them without mercy. Think if they had come here, what the situation would be like. It could be so much worse. So he tried to tell us here in Ireland, please, you know, think in a positive way about the situation and try to overcome negative feelings. And then he said something amazing. He started to comment on the length of his speech. Father said, you know, my back was aching, my legs were swollen, you know, and I really felt tired during the speech. But I saw so many people from so many backgrounds with their own personal problems, with the situations. I had to give them God's words. I had to give them hope in their life. I had to give them a possibility to understand how they could build a better life and lift their spiritual standard and come closer to God. I had to continue, even if I was dead tired. And he said, I do that in such situations. And he said, you kind of complained about 4.5 hours. Do you know, he said, my record is 16 hours and 48 minutes. So you were treated very nicely, you know. So Father didn't really have so much compassion with us. But actually, he continued again, and even in the victory celebration, he started to talk about different people's problems and how we should overcome. And it was so much that in the end, the people that had to do with his father's schedule and the connection to the airport and taking off, they started to give him signs that time was up. And Father continued, and in the end, Mother came and actually pulled him out of the hall, and he left without food or drink or anything. That shows actually Father's desire to give people absolutely everything when he has a chance to do that. Spirit world told me very strictly, this is the Messiah. I heard the words, and since then, I cut all my physical life and joined. And that has helped me a lot. And since then, every time I met Father, I really felt, there's no doubt who this is. And Mother's unity with Father, they love for each other, the support of each other. Mother is also a most amazing person that had taken so many difficulties during this horrible thing. And that was another thing Father mentioned. He said, talk about trouble. Do you know, he said, when we gave the blessing to the 36 couples, Reverend Kwok was one of them, and Reverend Kwok was with them. He was blessed to a really beautiful young lady from a family where the father was the head of a college, and there was a lot of trouble in that family. He didn't have a single place to go after the blessing. He didn't have a place to do his 3-day ceremony, So it was total. People were in a total mess, and he said, many of our children, my physical children, went to spirit world as an indemnity for this time. And now they're in spirit world and they're teaching, and they have my spirit, he said, so they are helping with the work on the other side. So many, Father gave so much of himself during this time. Please, I really wish that especially you young people can get out of all the theory and all your personal understanding and really try to find back to the original connection to God and understand who true parents was. I was so lucky. I was told directly from the spirit world. I couldn't deny it. And I know some of you have had spiritual experiences. I really pray every day for the fifth part of the pledge, where they talk about the unification of the physical world and spirit world. And Father talked about the time when the good part of spirit world will clear the ground, I'm looking forward to that time. I will finish with one little thing here, because something nice happened. And that was the Korean National Messiah. Maybe it's a little strange for people if they are not into our understanding of true parents. But, he was the go-between between true parents and us. And he had been around when Father got a haircut while he was preparing for the speech. So he took a paper napkin and he went up and gathered together Father's hair, And then he came to the different families and said, here, Father's hair, It looked like funny to get some hair from a man, But think about the Catholic background, where everyone wants to have these relics that were connected to saints and sages. And I'm sure Jesus' cross have been sold in many times as pieces and nails and whatever that was supposed to be connected to Jesus. We got something that really came from Father's physical body and could in the future even be detected scientifically. This belongs to the Christ. How about that? Is there anybody that will ever get such a wonderful gift? And actually, the whole visit of true parents here in Ireland is the most magnificent thing that ever happened. And Mother came before to speak to Women Federation in the Westbury Hotel, and later on also with Conjin, So Father has given so much to this country. So please, especially young people that are supposed to take over, also old people that are with one foot in the grave, please try to get this original spirit and really connect to true parents and understand true parents' nature and who they were. Because the day mother goes to spirit world, completely new age, where things will be quite more difficult, We have all kinds of help now to raise our standard. Please do it, please really center on the things that is going on now in Korea and other places, and try to follow. Even I find something is kind of difficult to find the evening night prayers, because my way of praying is not the hand up in the air and shouting, you know. But anyway, you know, that might be the thing for the new age. But please, you know, I beg you, young people, please find back and study through prayers, study Father, and try to understand what they gave their lives to do, also here in Ireland, you know. I'm so happy that I could live this time and be a witness to all these things, and have written down my whole autobiography, every single step, you know. Okay, thank you very much. I won't bother you
anymore. Thank you so much, Albert. No, very much. You know, it's very obvious that Albert is speaking from his heart, from his experience. I'm very much looking forward to reading his full autobiography and his testimony. There's a lot of very deep experiences with true parents that I think we can all learn from. So next in the schedule, I wanted to show a little bit from the actual event. So we had, I don't know if everyone knows Betty Maloney, and I think it was Rita Zaccarelli, right? Or I might have it wrong. Trina Hill. Three sisters sang a beautiful song. So just to kind of break it up and just to kind of immerse ourselves a little bit in the day, this was kind of the starting of the event, and they sang very nicely, and I just want to share it here before we move to the next testimony. So, one still. There's cameras going in.
The night
sense of the room. It's very interesting. Those sisters are kind of me and Vicky, kind of RA. Grew up with them. It's quite a little bit emotional actually just to watch them singing there for true parents. So we'll show a couple more clips from the event, but now I would like to invite up our second testimony and speaker today. Also someone that's very personally important to me, connected to me. My lovely mother-in-law, Patricia Iverson. Give her a round of applause.
Hello. I have had some really nice experiences with True Father, like picking up ping pong balls for him for 2 hours and him turning up at Aberdeen when there was only 2 of us in the centre and he just showed up. But this is about him coming to Ireland, and that wasn't one of the nice experiences. It was very stressful, and thinking back, it's just the stress. So when we heard they were coming, then, just to put the timing, 2005, I had to buy a mobile phone. I didn't have a mobile phone, but I knew Rose was going to be doing the ironing for Father and things like that, and I needed to contact her. So my first mobile phone was in 2005, a little pink one, and flipped. So we got a list of things to buy. So for 3 days, from like 9 till 5, I was walking around Dublin shopping. And I lost weight, I didn't have time to eat, and it was, and I just saw the chairs up there. I think that's when we bought those, we're searching for the chairs. Remember, Tom? We went to Capel Street or in an antique shop and we found this. So we did all the shopping, went through this list, took about 3 days. And then we're told to find the best hotel. You've got to find the best hotel. So we went to the Four Seasons. It's beautiful, perfect place for the speech. President's suite, beautiful. And they wouldn't accept us. And there was, down that street, there was another really nice one with a Chinese vase. I always remember that President's Suite. I really wanted to get that one, but they wouldn't accept us. And then we went down, all the best hotels.
Did they not accept you because of the...
Some of them...
They let us in the beginning and wrote us down, and then they turned it off.
And then later they'd say, when they found out who we were, then they cancelled. So we tried all the best hotels, and we got down, finally the Gresham said, okay, and we booked the Gresham. It was a time when the Schengen agreement, so Father was having real trouble getting into the countries. I think one country refused them, Spain or France or something, and because they refused them, all the Schengen countries couldn't let them in. So Ireland wasn't in Schengen, we were not in the Schengen agreement, and that's why Father could come to Ireland. So it was, the desperate feeling was, will he get stopped, and we had this Mike Guard of Dialogue Ireland working against us all the time, going to schools, talking about cults when we were teaching principle in the schools. So we had this guy against us, but anyway, we got the Gresham. And first of all, we had to try to make sure he got in. So we went to the Minister of Justice and asked him, will you let Reverend Moon in? Will he be allowed to come into the country? And he said, well, you don't need a visa. If you're Korean, you don't need a visa. So there's no reason to stop him. He said you could talk to immigration at the airport. So we talked to immigration at the airport. This whole stress was, we've got to get him in. If he doesn't get in, it would be, he wouldn't die. So anyway, so I remember there was in the Gresham, a lift in the Gresham when my little pink phone went off, and Halvard said he got through. So it was in Ireland, so that was really great. And anyway, then the Gresham called me and said, "Oh, I hear someone told us that you're having a wedding. This is actually a wedding." So I had to go to the Gresham. I'd built up a relationship with them, and I said, "It's not a wedding." I said, "Everybody's already married." I said, "They might renew their vows." That's the most that they were doing. So I had to, this might God, as Dialogue Ireland, had been to the Gresham and found out where he was staying and told them to cancel. So we managed to talk them round. So they let him in. They let us keep the hotel. Okay, so all I've got to say now is, so True Parents were in the President's Suite in the Gresham, the top floor I think it was, and my job was to stand outside the room in case he needed anything. So I just stood outside there and could hear all the time True Father listening to his own speeches. So you could, standing outside his room, he played constantly like speeches, his own speeches, which, because he speaks like from inspiration from God, he probably doesn't even remember what he said, you know, and so then he has to re-listen to them. So he was all the time listening to speeches. And then the only other thing I remember was when they went, I'd walk behind True Parents and the little grandson going to the lift, going down, and I'd walk behind them going to the lift and see that they were really grandparents and they had this little grandchild. And that's it. Bye. Oh, I'll leave my book here, so there's a nice experience with his father I'll leave it in the church.
Thank you very much, Pat. I know, when you see the event and you see the video of the event, you don't see all the hard work in the background and all the stress and the back and forth. And also it really does remind you that people do treat us differently, right? Sometimes we don't notice, or we get used to being accepted, but then at the time there was genuine discrimination. There was always the fear that we would get kicked out. I mean, what happened in Paris that started this was Father actually got handcuffed by immigration and kicked out of the Schengen, right? And that's, it's kind of almost an embarrassing moment for the country. So I think that's what we were really afraid of. The Father would land in Ireland, and the Irish immigration would kick him out and mistreat him. And it was really our only chance as a nation to welcome him. So it's, I can very much understand the stress and the relief as well when Father's here and he's speaking, and then to kind of be then blessed with really, again, Howard mentioned it, but I really felt almost as if Father knew he'd only have one chance, right, to share as much as he could with the nation of Ireland. So I wanted to show next just Father's entrance and his first few words, just so we can kind of see how Father kind of entered into the room, and then the first things he said when he started. He probably started, I think, just reading the speech, and then at some point then he started to deviate. But it's just about 3 minutes. Everyone's standing up, he's being introduced. So Dylan, if you could start that.
Thank you for being here tonight. I see a lot of people. Let's begin. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I address you as leaders from around the globe who do not hesitate to make extraordinary efforts for the realization of world peace. I would like to express my deepest gratitude for your being present here tonight in spite of your very busy schedule. Ladies and gentlemen, As we begin the 21st century, we find ourselves at a truly historic turning point. We are at a point of decision. Can everlasting world peace take root, or are we doomed to repeat the 20th century's dark and oppressive history of war and conflict? The 20th century was a period of ceaseless struggle, including wars for colonial dominion, the First and the Second World Wars, the Korean War, and the Cold War. Living through this era, I dedicated my life entirely to the accomplishment of God's ideal of peace. I have always prayed sincerely that the United Nations, founded after the Second World War, would be an institution of peace, and that it would uphold God's will for the realization of eternal world peace. The United Nations has made important contributions for peace.
Okay, sorry, that was just the start. Goes in the next video, and so you can see Father started with the intention of keeping it to the hour, right? He was just going to read the speech straight. Later in a part I was listening to, he joked, well, he said, I promised my wife I'd keep it under an hour. Right? I think that was 2 hours in, he said that. But you can see he started with that intention, right? He just comes in and he just starts reading and stuff. So I hope to show some other clips as well. But I want to get back to the testimonies and invite our dear brother Tom to come up and say, Tom Malloy, to say a few words. So please give him a round of applause.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I guess. Whatever you want to say.
It's caught me by surprise. Okay. I came to this church at the deep end. It was the most traumatic, like the world exploding on me. Sorry for being dramatic. I don't know what to say. I'm going to talk rubbish. Okay? Muriel and I were engaged for 4 years, planning our wedding. I knew Muriel from when she was 17, 18. We postponed our wedding, and then we met at church. I heard about Reverend Moon. It was like being knocked down by a bloody car. It shouldn't have happened, you know what I mean? Like, I was just minding my own business. So Muriel and I said to her, look, I've met some people. There's something very important happening. Will you come along? So she came along. She liked the singing. She wasn't as into belief and that, but she liked the singing, and she followed me. She followed me beyond human. She didn't really have the interest in the biblical, or whatever you want to call it, theological faith I had. I was a reader. I was mad reading. Catholic readings about marriage. She followed me and suffers by following me, but she kept following me. And together we worked for the church. You couldn't do anything else. Like, it was almost like you were hit by I said a car, did I? You were hit by a lorry, or maybe, I don't know, a big lorry. And all of a sudden you're in the time of the Christ. You're in the time of the Christ. Christ, you've read your Bible, you think about the apostles, what happened, what they did, and then all of a sudden you're pretty well there, and you can't escape. You cannot. You can try and run. I tried, but you can't. So when I heard True Father was coming to Ireland, it just seemed so momentous. And I just wish that the world could kind of just see, go back, pare it back. We've over-expanded the church. Here's a bit of, canon, what loose canon stuff. But we've branched out too much from the core, the sanctity of marriage. The beauty of seeing God. After this, I was pushed, because nobody else would do it, to go on interviews on radio, television and a lot. And it was a talk show, the most popular talk show, the Marion Finucane. Colin would know, what was it called? Liveline. Yeah. So I was asked to go on Liveline. And it was Albert Reynolds, our Prime Minister, had gone to a conference in America. And he said, they were questioning me. And I said, look, there's chaos in the Unification Church. There's terrible things you can hear. But this man has told me, when you look at your wives, you will see God looking back at you from your wife. He has brought that density of love to marriage. And that's it. You can do it. She says to me, okay, well, I wish everybody could experience that. He said, yes, that's the magic, the miracle, the blessing that this man has brought to see marriage as in the image of God. It's as simple as that. Forget about all the other stuff. Amen.
Thank you so much, Tom. That was incredibly beautiful, very well said, very succinct. And I think he did an excellent job of really encapsulating maybe the whole principle in one sentence. So thanks again. I've asked a couple other people if they want to share something. I don't want to pressure people, so it's really, but I think a few people agreed. I think Ty mentioned she might share a few of her experiences and her thoughts. If everyone can invite up. Welcome up, Ty.
We had a few events in around 2005 and 6, kind of might be mixed up, but okay. I was, basically I was around like preparation for this stage preparation, but not directly. We had one brother from some European country. He was going around with 2 parents, so he's in charge of everything. But I took 2 or 3 Japanese sisters from England to the market in the early morning. The same day, 2 parents coming, probably. And they brought the flowers, and I prepared the 4 pot plant of the palm tree. You see the video. That looks like Ireland or America, like global look. And he was very happy. I bought probably 4 plants, probably this height, I don't know. And anyway, and I brought ivy from my home, not my own home, but at that time I was living in Beaumont. And then neighbors, I mean, were overgrowing into our garden, so I pulled back full of babies. So probably he used in the stage and then the floor, that gap, he might cover it. And these sisters include my friend from Birmingham. She's a Caribbean, so she's a dark, black lady. I don't know, 2 years, 1 year, 2 years. Anyway, I lived together with her. And she came and started helping, and we making a 3 flower arrangement. And these 3 Japanese ladies are chatting with themselves, and they don't know her, but they're kind of criticizing about the sister, because probably she's, I don't know, they started, I thought, oh, no, this is preparing for true parent, this flower. I had in the past experience was in a different mission in London. We had an incredible disunity, and at the time father in Dublin, and then because of disunity, bring a daily mail to take us as a tax program, and then bring into the big news, and this influence to the fathers stay longer in Dublin. That was spiritual sister, spiritually open sister Faith Jones told us. So we had 3 days of chain prayer, repentance, but Funjinim supposed to be calm with her, but Funjinim said he got too much resentment, so he can't come, so Jesus came with Faith Jones. And anyway, what I would say is, this unity is always in my head. This unity causes trouble. We think we are just arguing, and we think we are complaining each other, but actually reality this all coming to the true parent, or in between God and Satan and fighting. So I was very much careful about this situation, and so I took care of her more expressed my love towards her, etc. And the 3 made an arrangement. The very funny thing is, this brother don't know anything, but he took this Luce from Birmingham. Her arrangement was in the front of the podium, in the middle, and these 2 sisters' arrangement was in the side. I was another thing. I was late to coming to the father's speech because I was with security guard outside the door. He's stopping people from, he don't think loud. I don't know, he may be spiritually open person or not, but anyway, I was fighting for Helen Begedon and her husband. He's stopping them. So I said, no, they are blessed couples. I keep arguing with him, and then also one of the Korean shop owner. At the time he was Korean. People, I don't know, remember or not. And no, I have to explain to the security person that he's Korean shop owner, etc. So I know who invited him, I don't know, but I went a couple of times to the shop, so. And he was surprised I know him. But anyway, I was late to go into the room, and opened the back door, and I went in there. Probably I'm the last person. And then looking at the father already starts talking, and then when I came in, I felt father's looking at me, and then he picked up leaf from the arrangement, and he was kind of like start circulating, and then start talking, and I felt he's going to give me a sign, accepting, trying to bring a unity among this preparation, whichever trying to invading some negativity in between preparation. And another, because this pot plant was difficult to carry up, and we cannot use elevator. People normally use very close to the venue, so I have to go through the different route. so very complicated. Maybe I took one by one, I can't remember. So I was late to welcome true parent. Everybody gathered under the stairs to already finish a greeting. Then I just came in. When the true parent arrived in Hak Ja Han, and everybody kind of gathered, and then, a true parent already started climbing the stairs. And then, okay, I missed it. And then the moment true mother turned back, and then looking down, so my personally, I felt, mother felt something, and then looking back for me, you know, that kind of feeling I had. But I don't know what you think, but I felt that kind of things. And anything else I have to say is, anyway, so many English brothers and sisters came for the meeting because they thought father couldn't come. So it was really helpful, and yeah, everybody greeted us as a successful meeting. So yeah, I stop here.
Thank you very much, Ty. Actually, I think it's really nice to hear from all the different sides of what's going on. Even in Sunday service today, Colin was sharing a little about security, right? And that's a different aspect. You have the people preparing the stage, right? And then you have the background of the hotel, and obviously all the spiritual preparation that's required. So I want to open the floor if anyone else wants to share something.
John Kennedy.
No, we're not pushing people. That's the rule. Okay, so people have to volunteer. You'd like to say something? Yeah. Come on, James. Thank you.
Mostly I'm doing this because I have to listen to everyone else, and I thought I'd get a chance up here. Huh? But for me, like in the church life, most of my church life was not spent in centres. It was always in teams. Huh? MFT, Le Pan, Berlin, all this type, always in teams. Huh? So I didn't have all the opportunities to see true parents that other people had. Huh? And anytime I did also some security there for true mother and that, but we were always kind of well away from everything that was going on. Huh? So I remember when we went to Champion for the registration workshop and different things, and it was kind of like praying. I thought, now I've never actually seen Father very close up, and I really want to see him close up. Huh? And so then during one of the sessions there, I don't know how many people's in the hall, thousands in the hall, huh? And then we were, the aisle was along here, we were sitting here in the middle of it, and Father came right, like 2 feet away from me, and spoke there for 1 hour, And I thought, well, okay, that worked out well, that was good. Didn't understand a word, but anyway. But then, when it came to the, like we were doing the security, and we had to drive the true family, pick them up at the airport and different things like that. I thought, no, it'd be nice if we got true father, because I never actually talked to true father. I'd like to be able to talk to him, that's all, And so then I got true children, the grandchildren, and then was saying, yeah, well, okay, and it doesn't matter, it's fine, And then we went in. Because the idea was to talk to true father, nothing against the grandchildren. I probably okay, I won't go into it. But I kind of like we were told for the security in the hall there that they weren't expecting anyone to kind of threat on Father's life. It was more like someone to stick a pie in his face or throw something like an insult in that way. Huh? That's more what you're looking for. But still you had to be kind of vigilant. Huh? And then trying to stay vigilant all those hours, sitting there. And then there was one other guy that was doing security from England or Wales or something. And he was very eager, And like it was like anyone can hear it. I was like, calm down, you know. And I said, why don't you sit down? Because they said, well, like they told me, you know, you can get the guys to sit down and they can listen to it. You know what I mean? They're not expecting any hits. And now he was standing to attention, like, you know, most of the time. So until he got worn out after a couple of hours, and he decided, okay, I'll sit down now. But it was generally a kind of intense time because you didn't want anything to happen to troop hands when you were there. Huh? And as bad as the sound, you're looking forward to when they go away, and then everything worked out fine. In a good way. And then towards the end, we were told, like this was after 100k, we were told, okay, we have to be ready in the car functioning, everything going, like when troop parents go there, so we had to go like 10 minutes or so before the end of the father's speech, yeah? At 100k. And so then we got on our earphone, we hear, okay, it's time to go now. And I was sitting at the front with Rose and the kids, and I felt there was a good give and take with father, because we were right up the front row, and I thought maybe it's my imagination, but it felt like a good give and take. And anyway, I got the thing, we have to go, okay, get up to go, and then I hear, what are you doing? I thought, whoa, what the hell, and that was Korean for people who don't know that. And then when the leader says, yeah, here, look. I thought it was. I said, well, what's he said, where are you going? I said, I have to go. Security, we have to go for the thing. And he was explaining to father. Then after about a couple of minutes here and here, he said, oh. So I said, okay, well, I got to talk to father. Maybe not the way I wanted. But anyway, it was worked out well. We had a wonderful experience. Got to talk to father, very deep. And that was it.
It's James only speaks up here about once a year, so everyone's been very blessed today. Big round of applause. Thank you, James. that was also very wonderful. Thank you. All right, so there's just a short clip. I found the point where Father started to deviate from the script, so we'll just see what you want to talk about first. It's a little bit ahead of, after that, actually, but he spoke for about 18 minutes before he decided to start going a bit deeper with everyone. We'll just play about 4 or 5 minutes. Oh, we started in English.
This is get on the other head. It's like their ancestor and the Sudan and Robin be cannot into heaven.
Yeah, I speak English.
He went from Adam's world, complete, Adam had complete after getting kingdom of heaven, both getting kingdom. That kind of person, Satan, will understand that. Long now, difficult situation is you have to have get into the kingdom of heaven after you will have to know continue. Why? They are absolutely one time within teacher cannot change. That point, Satan, watch all children. Cards, because became children. You have to know Satan. After get to heaven, original creation idea. Instant then, which continue until now. This 시간은 결혼을 강제적으로 그러니까 이제 이 지금은
So in reality, photo man was like a forced marriage. So therefore, in a time of restoration, we have to reverse the course. So I propose that exchange marriage between the races, between the nationality, between different religious faith, we should all practice exchange marriage. That's the way we can erase the remnants of the trace of human fall. Because through exchange marriage, we can tear down all the barriers and walls. I repeat, the only way to have Satan surrender voluntarily is to love our enemies more than...
Okay. So,
more than who?
More than our own children.
Okay.
Yeah. Always the hardest definition the Father gives of true love. So again, that's Father speaking English. Hopefully people caught it. He was talking about the fall, and Satan has the control over people, right? And people have to get into the kingdom of heaven by reversing that. So Father was really trying to speak in English. So I'm going to give one more call for anyone to share. Bruno, thank you. We're going to give Bruno a round of applause.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this beautiful event. So I want to share two things, so it'll be very short. One might sound very trivial, but I think it might be something important to think about. So what we know about Jesus as the Messiah is we know that he was walking on water, he was healing the sick, he resurrected people from the dead. So you think the Messiah is some kind of magic figure or something like that. When I joined the church, which was in 1980, December 1980, I was lucky because after only 6 months, Father traveled to Europe. At the time, it was 1981, I think it was May, beginning of June. Father came to Europe because he wanted to establish the machine business in Germany. And he traveled to Italy. We had a very nice place in Italy as a training center. And Father came there and talked. So I was lucky that among all the previous members in Italy that came before me, like 5, 10, 15 years, I was, after only 6 months, I got to meet your Father. It was an amazing experience, and I just couldn't grasp my head around it, whatever. Father gave an amazing talk as usual, but one of the things that he talked about was, or that he mentioned actually, it was very interesting, was look at me. And he said, do you think the Messiah doesn't go to the toilet? What a strange thing to say for a Messiah. And then you make the connection, because I come from a Christian world, from the Catholic world. So Jesus, the holy man and the holy walking on water and healing the people and resurrecting people from the dead. And then you have the Messiah here that he talks to you. You need to go to the toilet. So anyway, and the other thing that I want to connect this point is I think he was in Ireland. I hope I'm not mistaken or mixing up with the UK event, but at the Undoke the next day, Father was sitting on the chair, and he took out his socks. Yeah. He was in Ireland, right? So he took out his socks, and he was joking about how he could put in the socks in one go. Right? Again, like you compare the two messiahs, one from the Bible, hallelujah, and the other one down to earth. So the reason I'm saying this is because Father is truly human, and sometimes I don't know what everybody everybody has a different experience with the Messiah. Everybody has a different understanding of the Messiah. Everybody has a different feeling about the Messiah, different way of looking at the Messiah. So for me, these two things, which seems to be very trivial, like it's just normal thing that everybody does, right? Yeah, so that's also what the Messiah does. It's what the human being does. So it actually made me think that the Messiah is not that fantastic person that we might think of, but it's a person with a deep heart. It's a person just like us. But there's also, as we heard from a different testimony, and also when you hear a father like that, if you look at all Father's life, has been a life of constantly giving out to other people. No, sorry, that's the wrong word. Giving love to other people. And that's what is the essence of it. And it doesn't have to be something extraterrestrial. It doesn't have to be somebody who is walking in the sky or anything like that. It's just a normal person who sincerely apply all his heart and give everything he has to the other people. So that gave me a very good impression, a very good feeling about Father. So, and that's how I relate in that sense, because it's not a matter of being some kind of fantastical guy that can do something out of this world or whatever. No, it's someone who actually can really love people. And you can look over his father's life when he was in prison cell in Korea. He gave half of his food to other people or whatever. So that's the real content of a human being. That should be the content of a human person. And that's what Father's been teaching us. So despite being the guy that goes to the toilet, the guy that put on the socks in one go and everything else, but that's the reality, right? That's really what is important is what is his commitment to other people, to the life of other people. That's one thing. And then the other thing I want to mention is what we just heard here, or what also Halvard mentioned, is that Father said you should marry your children to your enemies, right? I was sitting beside Roberto at that time. Roberto was brought by the Sikh leader, I think by Dr. Puri was brought in, and Roberto didn't know what was going on too much. So he's a Catholic, strong Catholic. I was sitting beside Roberto. I was kind of scared when Father was talking because a certain thing they were saying obviously was completely conflicting with what his belief is. But when he heard that, Roberto almost stood up from the chair and he talked to the two nuns that were sitting beside. He said, "There's something really substantial here." And that was the point when Roberto actually picked up somehow what is the essence of True Father. And since then we kept in touch, and he came also here with Halvard and many of you that you know him. But that was the point when he actually changed him. And but that's a power that when Halvard was saying that Father had to talk a lot and different things, different people, because that was needed, and that was the thing that he needed, maybe for Roberto, maybe also for other people. But it's also a great lesson, because sometimes we don't think in our life what we say or what we do has an impact on others. It does. It has a lot of impact. We just don't realize what kind of impact we give to other people. And I think if we are, the way the Father does it is always being in constant connection with God. So whatever he tried to give is all for the sake of the other person. So for me, it's been the great lesson that if we try to do or to live like that, we can benefit other people. And even we don't know, Father didn't know who was going to touch during the speech, but somebody did. Somebody got touched by that. So it's very important that. So these are the things that I wanted to share for this. And I hope, I will. They will always be things very important for me, for my life, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruno, and I think it's actually so amazing to hear that testimony that Father has such a, obviously Father has a direct impact on us. We hear the principle, and that's why we're here, but also to have, someone like Roberto at that speech, at that time, and to be next to you, and to see the impact on him from Father's words. I think very beautiful testimony to also what Father was saying. He wanted to, it's his chance to share God's heart and God's message. So we're coming to the end of our lovely kind of afternoon together. So I wanted to just share some closing thoughts, because as a young man, I was also there that day. I was actually in Albania, and my dad sent me to Ireland. He's like, he paid for my trip. I was doing kind of mission work, and he said, Father's coming to Ireland, so obviously you have to go and be there and represent the family. But I think I kind of, I was already blessed to Vicky at that time, but it's just 2 years and we're figuring everything out. And I think I was just kind of in the background. I don't think I was so helpful or anything, but I was trying to be. But I just remember a couple things that happened that I wanted to share. I remember the Hannah girls were putting all this heart and effort to preparing the meals and stuff, yeah. And then, but I think when True Father landed, they were really tired. They just ordered some McFish burgers from McDonald's. Is that what happened? Yeah. So it's I always remember that because it's, I always knew Father loves the fish burger from McDonald's, so I try to order it whenever I'm there, but it was just kind of, I know it's because he was tired and it was just, he's traveling so much, but it's, I don't know, it just stuck with me. It was something that happened, and it's just a kind of unique quirk of Father. I think it goes back to Bruno's point about Father's as human as the rest of us, right? And it's very easy to kind of put him on a pedestal or to treat him like, he's different, and obviously he's different, but he's also human, right? When I was there with I sat next to a student who was studying religion, and he was just super curious, and he had heard about it, and he just wanted to hear Reverend Moon speak, but he left about an hour and a half through. He was kind of like, I'm really tired, I think I have to go. And I was like, yeah, let's try to stay in touch. But it was just, again, it was kind of this impression on me that there were so many different people there, right? And I think it was a really kind of pivotal moment. And then the thing I remember most from the speech, and I think it was probably the nuns next to Roberto, is he at one point pointed to the nuns in the first row. He's like, you guys, you have to get married, right? You have to get married in order to to fulfill God's purpose of creation and everything, right? And his whole speech was so much about marriage and about men and women, right? And I'm just like, I just almost was shocked myself, right? So I hope those nuns got married, but I don't think so. But it's just so part of Father's view of life, right? Every person he sees, he wants them to be married, right? And that's what he's thinking. And when I was rewatching the speech, and I just wanted to get a sense of what Father was talking about, that was his kind of main theme, as always, and I think Tom touched on this so clearly, is, you have to understand your purpose is like a half purpose. Like, you need your other half, right? You need to be married, and you need to feel God's love through marriage, right? And he kept saying, divorce is absolutely, he said no divorce like 20 times in the speech, right? He just kept emphasizing. And, at one point he was talking about, like, if you and your wife are having problems, you have to figure it out. You have to, like, tie each other together, right? And then he was also explaining this idea, like, who was born first, right, in the Bible? Like, was it man or woman, right? Like, well, the Bible says Adam was created first. And then he said, actually, I'd never heard this before, but he said, Adam and Eve were twins, right? They were twins, but Adam was born first, right? So Adam was born first. But if Adam was born first, how could God create Adam unless he already had this ideal of Eve, right? Like he had already in his head conceived of Eve, and so then he was building Adam to match Eve, right? And he was almost saying like, actually God thought of woman first and then made man, right? It's kind of the opposite of the way the Bible describes it, right? As where woman's almost an afterthought if you read the Bible the way the story's written, right? So it's just a kind of, he was saying in the speech, like, men and women have to go to bed naked, right? You have to go to bed naked, because otherwise you're just half a person, right? And without your spouse, right? So it's just, and something else I noticed in the Korean, so something that's always a struggle is there's always like a translation lag, and Father was speaking very casually, like at this speed, and the translator was probably speaking every second or third sentence, right? And I don't know if we ever got a full Korean transcript and got it translated, but maybe that's something we need to really do. Huh? Yeah, with AI now it should be possible. We can separate the two audios, because Father's audio is there, him speaking is there in the audio. But he kept saying, when he was asking questions to the crowd, he kept this phrase, he's like, the people of Ireland, right? What do you think, right? And this didn't always come through in the translation, but he was very much speaking to the people of Ireland, and every time he asked a question, he was like, people of Ireland, is this true, or is this true, right? Like, answer my question, people of Ireland, right? So I just felt that was, like I said, I really felt Father came and knew there's to be this one historical moment, and he wanted to get as much in as he could, right? And so I think we're very blessed to have that, and I think that's why we're here, to remember it together. And then the last thing, he was talking a lot about his childhood. He was talking about some of the miracles when he was young and in his village and stuff. And he was saying, I don't usually share this, right? I've only really started talking about this recently. I don't really share about how my childhood was and the kind of miracles around it. But he's like, it's not because I'm a great person, right? He's like, I'm not trying to say like I'm some special person. This is only because of God. God needed me to do these things, right? And I think, again, Howard was sharing this about Father's humility to God, right? And I think it ties into what Bruno was saying. His Father is a man, he's a man that just really loves God and really is trying to show the world how to love God and how to love each other and how to solve these problems, right? So I'm just incredibly grateful to all of our brothers and sisters who are here today, but who were part of the event on that day, and everyone who's been part of kind of this journey together. I just want to thank you very personally for coming here today and being part of it, but also thank those who aren't here today, but who were there that day and who are in Spirit World and who were part of it. I have a very grateful heart to everyone. And but I do want to give a little expression of gratitude to Halvard and Pat for helping to organize it. If you can just stand up for a minute. I know you don't want to. Come slowly in the front. We have a small gift to give. Or I'll come around. It's just a nice restaurant gift certificate. Just from the community to show appreciation. So on that note, I'm just going to ask the band to play the final song, and people can kind of get up or keep talking, and that'll kind of conclude our event today. So thank you, everyone. A big round of applause for everyone.